But listen.
Your tax problem is settled. You only owe $3,500.
What a great message.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, then you owe it to yourself to call this number. Let our experts help guide you through the process of negotiating a tax settlement. Call this number or go to tax10000.com.
We all know that movement is like medicine, but getting the movement you need to feel better can be a challenge. Now you can keep fit while you sit with QB, the world's leading compact seated elliptical. QB gives you active sitting, letting you burn calories and keep moving in an easy and low-impact way, all while you work, read, or watch TV. QB was named a top 10 gift by Time Magazine and has been featured all over the world. It's whisper quiet while it works your abs and core, hip flexors, glutes, quads, hamstrings, and calves.
QB is a lifesaver for me.
Here's your answer to your problem.
I feel young again.
Join the hundreds of thousands of people moving more with QB. Call to find out how to get your QB with free shipping and a 30-day completely risk-free trial. You'll also get this QB workout mat free. Now keep fit while you sit with QB.
To order, call 800-289-5820. That's 800-289-5820. Call now.
You're watching RNN TV.
Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. A lot to get to over the next 60 minutes, including the latest efforts when it comes to immigration, a police officer who survived the Capitol riots talking about efforts by some on Capitol Hill to rewrite what actually happened, and more. But we're going to start with President Biden's first address to a joint session of Congress last night. Here, the essence of his speech in 3 minutes.
After 100 days of rescue and renewal, America is ready for a takeoff, in my view. We're working again, dreaming again, discovering again, and leading the world again. We have shown each other and the world that there's no quit in America. There's still more work to do to beat this virus. We can't let our guard down. But tonight, I can say, because of you, the American people, our progress these past 100 days against one of the worst pandemics in history has been one of the greatest logistical achievements this country's ever seen. The American Jobs Plan is a blue-collar blueprint to build America. American tax dollars are going to be used to buy American products made in America to create American jobs. I'd like to meet with those who have ideas that are different, they think are better. I welcome those ideas. But the rest of the world is not waiting for us. To win that competition for the future, in my view, we also need to make a once-in-a-generation investment in our families and our children. That's why I've introduced the American Families Plan tonight. I will not impose any tax increase on people making less than $400,000. But it's time for corporate America and the wealthiest 1% of Americans to just begin to pay their fair share. Trickle-down economics has never worked, and it's time to grow the economy from the bottom and the middle out. We've all seen the knee of injustice on the neck of Black Americans. Now's our opportunity to make some real progress. We have to come together to rebuild trust between law enforcement and the people they serve, to root out systemic racism in our criminal justice system. I know Republicans have their own ideas and are engaged in very productive discussions with Democrats in the Senate. We need to work together to find a consensus. But let's get it done next month, by the first anniversary of George Floyd's death. The country supports this reform, and Congress should act. We have to prove democracy still works, that our government still works, and we can deliver for our people. Our Constitution opens with the words, as trite as it sounds, we the people. Well, it's time to remember that we the people are the government, you and I, not some force in a distant capital. We've stared into the abyss of insurrection and autocracy, pandemic and pain, and we the people did not flinch. It's never, ever, ever been a good bet to bet against America, and it still isn't. We're the United States of America.
President Biden ran through an exhaustive list of concerns from voting rights at home to the global threats posed by China. Now, it had an unusual feel to a presidential address to Congress. COVID restrictions have kept attendance to a minimum, so speech didn't have the same divided room feel that other State of the Union addresses have had. The president did pause to note the history happening behind him last night. For the first time in American history, 2 women appeared behind the president in leadership positions. Nancy Pelosi as House Speaker and Kamala Harris, the Vice President, there in her role as President of the Senate. Reaction from Republicans? Largely sitting on their hands during topics of like removing lead from pipes, increasing the minimum wage. Ted Cruz, he showed just how serious he is about working with President Biden. Now, while the address covered a wide range of topics, most with little detail, the president did give a sales pitch for his infrastructure plans, and he introduced a new plan for families as well. The $2 trillion jobs plan, it would rebuild roads and rebuild and repair bridges. It would eliminate lead pipes, focus on green energy, and a lot more. President also touting the importance of labor unions, envisioning that union workers would do the infrastructure work in what could be a boon for the nation's blue-collar middle class. Last night, the president focused in on his new American Families Plan. It's a $1.8 trillion package that picks up where the COVID relief law left off. It would make child care more affordable and accessible. It would offer American children universal pre-K and 2 years of free community college. Also, it would enhance Pell Grants, codified paid family leave and sick leave, recruit and improve the pay of our teachers, and nutrition assistance, as well as a lot more. Now, that is a lot of spending, on top of spending Congress has already okayed. Biden wants to pay for it with a tax increase on the top 1% or even half of the top 1% back to where rates were under George W. Bush. It's an increase in the corporate tax rate, including companies that paid nothing in taxes, plus some tweaks in the capital gains law, greater IRS enforcement, and other maneuvers aimed at both businesses and those highest income earning Americans. Now we're going to go through the practical politics of Biden's proposals. Can they pass in this divided Congress in our next segment? But for now, let's focus on the speech itself, Biden's delivery, and how what he was selling will be received. And for that, we turn to Paul Glostris. Paul, he's a reporter who became the senior speechwriter for President Bill Clinton. Paul, now the editor-in-chief of Washington Monthly magazine. Paul, thanks for a few minutes. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Richard.
Well, the speech itself, we mentioned the setting, different than any kind of State of the Union we'd ever seen before. Talk about how the backdrop and how the delivery stood out to you.
Well, the backdrop enabled the delivery, right? It was never have we seen a speech to a joint session of Congress be delivered with that level of conversationalness, casualness, almost intimacy. And that was made possible by the fact that there are only 200 people in the room. He wasn't having to talk over, roars of approval and every 2 seconds. And that played to his inherent strengths as a rhetorician, as an orator. He is not as good in the big speeches like his boss, Barack Obama was. He's better in the schmoozing, intimate retail politics. And so it was a well-played tactical play on this by his team and him on the setting.
It was jarring in a lot of ways from what we've been used to hearing for the last 4 years, a lot less I and a lot more we. But also the idea that government's not the enemy, but actually a solution to the American problems. Now, we'll get to how and who will receive it, but just a completely different definition, Paul, in terms of, hey, we're here to help. We're not the problem.
Well, in some ways, every Democratic president makes that argument. What made this different is the full-throatedness of it and really the size. It was the decimal point in the number, right? Instead of 200 billion, you're talking 2 trillion. It's just a giant leap in terms of the amount he wants to spend. And that, too, was something that came with the times. This was not the Joe Biden speech you would have heard 3, 5, 10 years ago, but post-COVID, post-Trump, the public is ready. So it was very much an aggressive, big government speech of the kind we really haven't heard since the 1960s.
When you write speeches like this, who's your audience? And I asked that. We showed a clip of Ted Cruz yawning, sleeping, pick your choice. Listen, Washington's always been politically divided along partisan lines, but not like now. Now it's tribal. To that end, did he care about the folks in the room, or was he talking through the folks watching on the TV set?
More the latter, though some of the former. You noticed that shout out he did to Mitch McConnell, thanking Mitch for suggesting that he name a cancer center after the president's late son, Beau. There was some back slapping and some hand squeezing going on rhetorically there. But he was talking to a broader audience. But the Democrats talk to the American people different these days, anyway, than the Republicans. Donald Trump was really never talking to Democrats. A lot of what he was trying to do was disturb the Democrats with transgressional language that pleased his base and fired up people who either would never vote or would only vote for him. Joe Biden is playing a very different game. He is trying to find an on-ramp for those white working-class Trump voters who are willing to come across the aisle or at least favor the positions that he favors. And so you heard, for instance, him say that 90% of the jobs in his infrastructure bill would go to Americans without college degrees. That was an attempt to say, hey, the Democratic Party is not this elitist party you've been led to believe. Join me. I've got your back.
You know, how does he sell it, though, Paul? And by that I mean, I'm trying to think of the family you're describing where you might have, father looking across the table and his kid, if this goes through, could have free community college. And his nephew might get universal pre-K all of a sudden. And all of a sudden, his union job, they got all these infrastructure projects that they could be doing. By the way, they've been helped by stimulus, or they've been helped, with family leave, or whatever the case may be conceivably that they've already gotten and could be getting in this package. And they don't know anybody in their neighborhood who's in the top half of the top 1% who's going to be footing this bill. But somehow a lot of those folks believe that, this is social welfare on steroids and it's not good for them. How does he explain that this is for them, actually, and they're the beneficiaries?
They can be made to believe that the policies are for them. What they don't trust is that it's coming out of the mouth of something other than a Republican, right? These are folks who have turned against the Democratic Party, and whether they like the Republicans or not, they believe the Republicans represent them and they're on their side. So, Donald Trump was a big government guy. He wanted $2,000 checks. He was going to protect Medicare and Social Security. He ran on protecting Medicare and Social Security. So the policies that Biden is putting forward are popular with the Republican base. The question is, can a Democrat in the Oval Office sell that to that population?
And the stuff that he said last night, Paul, I mean, the scope, you used a great term, the decimal point attached to it. I know it didn't have the soaring rhetoric of some of the other folks who stood behind that podium, but it was really big, transformative stuff. Who knows if it'll pass or not, but nobody's going to accuse Biden in the history books of going small.
No, it was big, but it's important to keep in mind not just what he said, but what he didn't say. He didn't say, I want a bill of X trillion dollars. He didn't say, I want to raise taxes X percent. He left all the particulars out of the speech. All of that was a signal that he is ready to negotiate with those Republicans, especially the Senate Republicans. Whether he can cut a deal or not, we don't know. But he signaled willingness to carve back and to compromise.
Interesting. Paul Glasters, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard.
All right, everybody, when we come back on RFL, we're going to talk more about what we heard from the president last night and get into some of the math and the politics of this. We'll check the response to his address from the polls, the editorial pages, and a lot more. Plus, as I said, making speeches is nice, but how much of what Biden was pitching last night can he actually get through this Congress? We'll debate that after this.
The first 3 months, we saved $4,100.
CarShield saved me over $6,000 in engine repairs.
I saved $4,100 out of pocket.
Amazing, amazing.
Customers everywhere agree. If your car is out of warranty, you need to call CarShield before your car has an expensive breakdown.
Without CarShield, there was no way that I could afford to get my car fixed.
An engine, transmission, or computer system breakdown could cost you thousands of dollars, but not with CarShield, America's #1 car protection provider.
CarShield saved us $4,000. That was great, right?
Yes, it was.
We're just happy with CarShield. They put a transmission in it and a motor. Who does that?
CarShield makes sure you don't have to pay for expensive car repairs.
The components that we're using are not getting cheaper. So nowadays, coverage is even more important.
CarShield covers most makes and models from 5,000 to 150,000 miles.
It's easy, affordable, and no long-term contracts.
And when customers realize that they're getting a $5,000 job for $100, they're excited. I've had customers who were so happy that they did break down into tears and cry.
We saved over $6,000 on a complete engine rebuild of our truck.
With CarShield, I saved over $3,600. It's a no-brainer.
I never have to worry about being taken advantage of when it comes to car repairs.
It's like having a suit of armor around my car.
Cars will break down, and those breakdowns could cost you thousands unless you call CarShield today and get the protection you deserve.
CarShield saved me in excess of $10,000.
And when you call, you'll also receive at no extra cost roadside assistance, towing services, and rental coverage.
If your car's out of warranty, believe me, you want to have CarShield.
Make the smart choice and protect yourself from sky-high auto repair bills. Call now for a free and instant protection plan quote. It's only a matter of time until repairs are needed. And once your car breaks down, it's too late. Call 800-858-4214, 800-858-4214.
Help. When you fall and can't get help,
Help.
You will lie on the floor for hours or days in constant, terrible anguish, which often results in a tragic outcome. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
With any of Life Alert's 3 emergency systems, help can be summoned immediately, whether at home,
I've fallen and I can't get up.
in the bathroom,
I've fallen in the shower.
or on the go.
Help! I'm in the park and I can't get up.
And batteries never need charging. Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-215-6582. That's 1-800-215-6582. Call now. 1-800-215-6582.
America's moving forward, but we can't stop now. We're in competition with China and other countries to win the 21st century. We have to do more than just build back better. We have to build back better.
Framing improvement to American life and the lives of Americans as a way to better compete with China and other nations. Just part of what we heard from Biden last night. So how was the speech received, and how much of what the president proposed will actually make it into law? And for that, we turn to senior political correspondent Andrew Woodman.
Well, Rich, the speech was met with raves once the polling was taken in, but keep in mind, more than half the audience last night were made up of Democrats. Republicans made up less than 20% of those watching, so the numbers are going to be good for Biden. The president did well among those who were watching. 85% of viewers said they approved of the speech. Only 15% said they did not. Feel of the speech, about 8 in 10 people who watched it thought it was an optimistic message for the nation's future. Asked about Biden himself, more great numbers, with more than 8 in 10 calling the president presidential. It's nice of that for a change. Also caring, inspiring, and bold. Perhaps because people related to Biden's proposal. Nearly 3 in 4 said Biden's proposals would help them, Only 12% said they would hurt. To the editorial pages, big and bold, the adjectives doing the heavy lifting among those supporting Biden. Lots of talk about his partisan approach, with a lot of "that's a good thing" thrown into the mix. Anti-Biden opinions, like much of the opposition to Biden himself, sort of all over the place. Speech felt flat, who's really in charge because it can't be Biden. And my favorite is from the conservative Washington Times. Americans growing weary of Biden's radical big spending game when all the numbers show more support for his plans than opposition. Too early for polling on Biden's new families plan, but his jobs plan, that's the infrastructure measure, is backed by a majority of Americans. And so are the plans to pay for it, at least among Democrats and independents, as well as 35% of Republicans who say they're okay with higher top-end taxes to help pay for it all. So Biden's proposals are popular, though Republican votes may be hard to find. But there could also be headaches for President Biden on the horizon thanks to a fellow Democrat. Here's West Virginia's Joe Manchin today talking with CNN about where he is on Biden's plans.
We can't overreach to the point to where we stymie investments, we stymie basically growth for 2022, 23, 24 and on. So we're going to look at all that.
And when you look at the overall price tag of all these proposals,
That's a lot. It's a lot.
I mean,
we're talking trillions and trillions of dollars. Here's the thing. We've got 1.9 trillion that hasn't gone out the door yet. We just passed American Rescue.
And it needs to be fully paid for.
We need to pay for it. We do. I mean, we're at 28.5 trillion, almost 28.2.5 trillion dollars. Now that's not sustainable. In anybody's book, it's not sustainable.
I want to ask you, is that there's a push to do it by Democratic votes alone, budget reconciliation?
I'm not for that. I've never been for that, and I've told them I'm not for that.
Joe Manchin is the 50th Democratic vote in the Senate, Rich. Joe Biden needs his vote to get anything passed.
You know, my last guest mentioned, Andrew, that Biden left the door open a lot of these things, which is, this is what I want, you know, something's better than nothing kind of thing. Now, what the final numbers are, we, and I don't even think the White House knows where the finish line is. Manchin's not saying no, but he certainly isn't saying yes.
Yeah, he's going to have to be dealt with. I mean, Biden is going to have to bring him into the fold. You lose Manchin, you lose any opportunity to get this thing done. So figuring out how to placate him is going to be part of the process here. And that may involve reach outs to Republicans. For example, Shelley Moore Capito, his Republican colleague from West Virginia in the Senate, is working on an alternative to the infrastructure plan. And Biden gave her credit for it in the speech last night. That may be a way to bring Manchin in. Let's try to play nice with the Republicans, and then if they won't play ball, see if Manchin will do some dirty work.
And it's funny, from everything I've read, a state like West Virginia will probably do better than just by about anybody on a per capita basis.
They will.
Let's bring up a graphic, if we could, guys, about this jobs and families plan. So, Andrew, these things, we did the polls, they're going to be popular. The question is, can they pass? And what do you think the sales job is going to look like? I know Biden's already starting to hit the road on this thing, but when they explain to people, you're going to be doing the work, you're going to be the one getting paid, will that put pressure on lawmakers?
It is going to put pressure on lawmakers. And as we showed from the earlier poll numbers, people feel like they can benefit from these plans. These plans will help them. That's going to wind up with additional pressure on Republicans, whose main objection to it is the price tag, which is sort of not a real issue for most Americans. I mean, you're talking $4 trillion for both of them with a $28 trillion. I mean, those are numbers that they lose sort of meaning to a lot of people. And then this argument that somehow this is a liberal wish list that's being dressed up as infrastructure or other support. But people aren't going to care about that as much because they're going to benefit from it.
I want to play another shot from the speech, and you butted together two bites here. It's about trickle-down economics and government.
Some big issues.
And to me, remember, when you hear trickle-down economics, it goes back to really the days of Reagan and the Laffer curve. I'm not going to waste a lot of time into it, but the idea is you benefit the wealthiest among us, and it'll trickle down to the lower classes, and everybody, a rising tide lifts all boats. Well, that's the argument, but it's never worked out in economic practice, and it certainly has never closed the gap between have and have-nots. Here's a couple bites.
My fellow Americans, trickle down. Trickle down economics has never worked, and it's time to grow the economy from the bottom and the middle out. We have to prove democracy still works, that our government still works, and we can deliver for our people.
So to me, that's going to be the rub, which is if you can convince the regular American, you're not going to be paying for this. You're going to be helped by this. cradle to grave stuff that will help with kids in pre-K all the way through college, and then, child care, and then assisted, all these things. But the misinformation on the other side is going to be there that's going to go parallel with it. So can you explain it and prove the government is actually your friend, not your enemy?
And it's interesting because Donald Trump was known for taking a populist approach to a lot of his politics. That's a populist position being issued by Joe Biden there. And it also, as you correctly mentioned, flies in the face of the governing principles of our economics since 1980, since the rise of
And
Ronald
Trump
Reagan.
talked populist, but it was the other way
Right,
around.
but that is a huge stake in the ground if Biden can keep it there. That is redefining how we handle our economics. And frankly, look at the numbers. Look at the outrage that we've seen, over the last few years.
Sure.
There is a real sense in this country that the system has benefited the top end too much.
And you got to go back to FDR
Yes.
to find a time here where our government says we're going to go and go big.
That would be a radical sea change in how our government works.
It really would be. When we come back, President Biden spoke last night just paces from the spot where the Capitol Police shot and killed a rioter in January. Now the GOP looking to rewrite the history of what happened on January 6th. And one of the police officers who responded and barely escaped with his life, he is pushing back. That next when RFL continues.
Are you over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days? I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. Call now for this free book on maximizing your income in retirement. Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers from leading financial firm J.D. Mellberg. That's right, free. This book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now, because we're about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known truths we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity, and it's free. Call 800-851-7261. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report. We researched numerous products and summarized rates and benefits of annuities, all from Silac Insurance Company. Call 800-851-7261. That's 800-851-7261. Call.
This is a national healthcare alert from the 24/7 Diabetic Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one has diabetes, listen closely. Now, regardless of your age, if you have insurance, you may qualify to receive diabetic testing supplies with little to no out-of-pocket cost. Get free delivery, free information, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers for free. Call the 24/7 Diabetic Health Hotline now for details. Toll free at this number. But wait, there's more. If you call right now, you could get a meter upgrade. In addition, we'll give you a free pair of diabetic socks as our special gift to you. Regardless of your age, if you suffer with diabetes and have insurance, you may qualify to get free delivery of your supplies. Call now. We can help.
Call 1-800-972-0451. 1-800-972-0451. That's 1-800-972-0451. Call now.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
It's now been 113 days since Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol, seeking to have the results of the 2020 election overturned. President Biden, he mentioned the riot obliquely a couple times in last night's address while discussing the need for unity and how to outcompete other countries like China. But the formal history of the riot has yet to be written, still with more questions than answers. New chapters are being added all the time. For example, we continue to get word almost every day of more arrests of rioters. A 10th rioter from Colorado arrested this week. A precinct chair in Texas and an Albany, New York man now wanted for his role in the riot. All from headlines this past week here. We're also seeing new images and insights into what happened seemingly on a daily basis. Today, Washington Post out with a video presentation showing the moments the Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick was first attacked with bear spray. He died of a stroke the day after the riot. And we still can't get a deal for a full-fledged riot commission, amazingly. And it's falling along lines of the bipartisan 9/11 commission. At least that was the idea. Speaker Pelosi, she's now willing to go for an even split of Republicans and Democrats on the panel just to get something going. But Republicans still will not agree even to that concession. Afraid of what a commission might find, Republicans still want any investigation to also include protests for racial justice last summer, especially the infrequent ones that ended up in violence. But what to do about the riot is fast becoming an issue that threatens to divide the Republican caucus in Washington, as we hear more here from some of the people most involved. For that, I want to bring Andrew back in. We'll get in a minute. Just the dereliction of duty that a political party, or many of them, have, that in a riot on our democracy, they won't even do the decent thing to start a commission, for crying out loud, to find out what happened. But I guess we'll get to that.
We will, and let's start with somebody who was the opposite of derelict of duty when it came to January 6th. D.C. police officer Michael Fanon. He did some interviews that you might recall in the days after the riot that made headlines here and on other outlets. This week he spoke again with CNN, and here he describes his terrible memories of what happened on the 6th.
Yeah, I mean, I experienced the most brutal, savage, hand-to-hand combat of my entire life, let alone my policing career, which spans almost 2 decades. I remember being pulled out into the crowd. I remember experiencing like feelings like, like when you're a kid, you're at the beach and you get knocked down by a wave, and then you get knocked down by another wave, and you just can't get up. That's what it felt like. I remember, once I was, able to kind of steady myself, get my bearings, like I was just surrounded in this sea of people, rioters, and they just started attacking me from all directions. Guys were, ripped my badge off, ripped my radio off, started grabbing at my firearm, trying to grab, ammunition magazines from my belt. It was just, it was overwhelming. I mean, I felt like they were trying to kill me.
Fortunately, Fanon survived, and he's been recovering from his injuries. As he's been hearing more and more Republicans trying to sanitize the story of what happened on the 6th, to clean it up so Trump supporters don't get blamed, and that's been prompting him to speak out again.
It's been very difficult seeing elected officials and other individuals kind of whitewash the events of that day or downplay what happened. Some of the terminology that was used, like hugs and kisses and, very fine people, is like very different from what I experienced and what my coworkers experienced on the 6th.
Officer Fanon is still coming to terms with the attack, which came from a president and his supporters who claimed to love police, and Fanon was to an extent one of them until the crowd turned on him on January 6th.
With the previous administration, there was like a lot of pandering towards law enforcement, and I was susceptible to that, I think, like many of my colleagues were. As someone who had espoused to be a law and order official or a law and order president, and then experience what I experienced on the 6th, which, I believe resulted from the rhetoric that was being used in the, weeks leading up to January 6th. I mean, that was difficult to come to terms with.
Now let's come back to what Rich and I were talking about, the potential problems that the riot could pose for the GOP. It's already causing a rift among their top people in the House. Here's Kevin McCarthy Sunday, a man who once said that Trump bears responsibility for the riot, now covering for and protecting Donald Trump.
When I talked to President Trump about, I was the first person to contact him when the riots was going on. He didn't see it. What he ended the call was telling me he'll put something out to make sure to stop this. And that's what he did. He put a video out later.
Quite a lot later. And it was a pretty weak video. But I'm asking you specifically, did he say to you,
No,
I guess some people are more concerned about the election than you are?
No, listen, my conversations with the president are my conversations with the president. I engaged in the idea of making sure we could stop what was going on inside the Capitol at that moment in time, and the president said he would help.
Just tell us what he said, Kevin. McCarthy has been feuding somewhat with the number 3 person in his leadership caucus, Wyoming's Liz Cheney. Cheney, already in the GOP hot seat for voting to impeach Trump, seems ready to make support for Trump something of a fault line within the GOP, saying, quote, if we minimize what happened on January 6th and if we appease it, then we will be in a situation where every election cycle you could potentially have another constitutional crisis. If you get into a situation where we don't guarantee a peaceful transfer of power, we won't have learned the lessons of January 6th, and you can't bury our head in the sand. It matters hugely to the survival of the country. So that about 180 degrees away from Kevin McCarthy's position when it comes to Trump and the riots, Rich.
And let's, for a moment here, disabuse anybody about Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy on the call where he wouldn't answer the question that you just heard with that exchange with Chris Wallace, he apparently, with Republican eyewitnesses, was saying in very colorful language, they're attacking us, send help. Reportedly, Trump said, well, there's some people cared a lot more about me than you. And then you had F-bombs going back and forth, apparently over the phone line, because Trump found no problems with lawmakers under assault for those who wouldn't believe the big lie.
And that came from a Republican House member who was next to McCarthy at the time of the call.
Then McCarthy, after voting not to impeach the president, gets to the floor and says the president bears responsibility for what happened. Donald Trump, and he called him by name. Then all of a sudden there's blowback. And then he rushes down to Florida to kiss the ring to Mar-a-Lago as if it never happened. And he leaves not just Liz Cheney, but about 10 other Republicans, House Senate here, on their own, because they had the courage and conviction to at least stand by their statements and vote their conscience where he wouldn't. So McCarthy's got a special place in the, the Hall of Fame of political cowardice. But Andrew, that we can't have a freaking commission? In live Technicolor, we all saw the riots. People died. And they won't have a commission? And you said it. It's because they're afraid of what they're going to find out. Did some of their members give aid and comfort to the rioters? Who was talking to who before the days of the riots? These are questions we have to know for history.
It is the height of putting party ahead of country. The nation was attacked on January 6th. The seat of Congress was attacked on January 6th. We were attacked from within. But these Republicans don't want to join this commission because they're afraid that the information is going to be damaging to their party. What a garbage answer that is.
And they're going to be afraid that those guys were motivated.
Right.
Because they would not legitimize an election that everybody, including Republican secretaries of state, all said was on the up and up. They caused it, then they don't even have the guts to own it.
And it's a problem for the GOP because everybody saw it with their own eyes.
All right, Andrew, thank you. When we come back, President Biden's been pushing hard in areas where he polls well, except for one. That's along the border and issues of immigration. They are challenges where Biden gets some of his lowest marks, but he's still pushing for reform. We'll analyze what he's doing and the impact next.
Villains, robbers, bandits, crooks, they're all over your TV screen. But the biggest thieves are behind your screen. I'm talking about the cable companies. They charge monthly subscriptions, fees, rentals, and force you to take long-term contracts. Well, it's time to say goodbye to the cable guy, because now you can watch 4K Ultra HD broadcast TV for free. Introducing Clear TV's new 4K Ultra HD design, the Premium HD. Just plug it into your TV and start watching for free. You will instantly receive top-rated network shows, local news and weather, sporting events, and even Ultra HD 4K broadcast shows, all for free. Thanks to federal government mandate, all broadcasters are required to transmit a digital TV signal through the airwaves. The new Premium Clear TV lets you bypass cable or satellite to bring network and 4K broadcast shows directly to your television. Retract the antenna to keep it small or extend them for maximum reception.
Setup was so easy. I took my Clear TV antenna, plugged it into the back of the TV, and now I can watch my favorite broadcast channels anywhere in the house for free.
We're just off the coast here in the Gulf of Mexico receiving free Network broadcast HD TV? Imagine all the free shows you'll receive at home. Basic cable and satellite services can cost you up to $80 a month. That's $960 a year and almost $10,000 over a 10-year period. Watch TV in as many rooms as you like with no additional monthly fees. Stop spending money you don't have to spend. Call or go online now and get your premium Clear TV 4K Ultra HD antenna for only $19.95. It's backed by our 60-day money-back guarantee. Order now and you can add a second Clear TV free. Just pay separate processing and handling. That's a $40 value for only $19.95.
I can't believe I get all these channels for free. Plus 4K Ultra HD, Clear TV is for real.
This is important news for people who have taken Zantac or its generic ranitidine and then suffered from cancer. Zantac and generic ranitidine have been linked to cancers. Zantac and ranitidine contain NDMA, a known cancer-causing agent. If you or a loved one took Zantac or generic ranitidine and were then diagnosed with bladder cancer, kidney cancer, or any of these cancers, call Davis & Crump right now to see if you're eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Operators are standing by.
More than 30 years, politicians have talked about immigration reform, and we've done nothing about it. It's time to fix it. We also have to get at the root problem of why people are fleeing, particularly to our southern border from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. The violence, the corruption, the gangs, the political instability, hunger, hurricanes, earthquakes, natural disasters. Immigrants have done so much for America during this pandemic and throughout our history. The country supports immigration reform. We should act.
That was some of what President Biden said about immigration policy last night, calling for comprehensive immigration reform, but not offering a lot of specifics on how we're going to get there. Now, the border and immigration have been among the few weak spots for Biden's White House to this point. Influx of migrants at the border was the biggest unexpected headache for Biden the first 100 days. Republicans eager to claim it's all Biden's fault for abandoning immigration policies implemented by his predecessor, President Trump. Now, it's hurt his poll numbers overall as well. Biden has a strong 61% approval score in recent polling from the AP, but that approval drops to 42% on the topic of immigration, 44% on border security. And when it comes to unaccompanied children appearing at the border, Biden's approval rate, it plummets to just 24%. Biden, he is putting Vice President Harris in charge of border issues, much like President Obama put Biden in charge of it years ago. And Harris is already focusing on the causes of mass migration. She is now working to improve life in Central America, especially in the so-called Northern Triangle countries, hoping to better the conditions there and hoping, consequently, it will keep people from coming here in the numbers they have been.
I've convened American foundations to renew their emphasis and priority around the Northern Triangle. I've been talking with foreign leaders. I met right in this room with the Prime Minister of Japan to talk about renewing our friendship on many levels, including an investment in the Northern Triangle. Similarly, I've talked to many heads of state around what we can do, including getting the UN to renew its focus on the Northern Triangle. We are prepared to make the investment and to get in there for the long haul, to do what is necessary to address the reasons people flee.
And for more, let's bring in our guest, Fernanda Santos. Fernanda is a contributing columnist with the Washington Post opinion page, also a journalism professor at Arizona State. In our most recent column titled "The Real Crisis Along the U.S.-Mexico Border." First off, your reaction to what you heard last night from the president. As I said, there was some, strong language, but not a lot of specifics. How did you hear it?
Well, first, thanks for having me here, Richard. Biden said things that are not very different than what his predecessor, President Obama, not President Trump, said, and others before Obama said as well, which is we have this big immigration bill, very ambitious bill, and there's a little bit for everybody. If you want more security on the border, we have money for that. If you want a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, we have that too. And what I think he's banking on is that we know the details, the specifics, especially people in Congress, that there are different people with different preferences, and that ultimately there will be enough votes from the Democrats and some Republicans, which you'll need, to pass this bill once and for all. The problem to me wasn't so much the lack of specifics, given that this was a State of the Union address, is not really a place where you offer often a lot of specifics on a lot of different things. But to me, the issue is that we're committing the same mistake again, which is to lump everything together and hope for the best, when it's clear that there are some parts of the immigration bill that are a lot more palatable than other parts. And my fear is that in the end, it's all going to implode and nothing will get passed.
You know, Fernanda, I think I'm going to ask a question. I'm pretty sure the right answer is all of the above, but I'm going to ask you to prioritize. Is the problem why they're coming in terms of the desperation that's going on, not just in the Northern Triangle, but in so much of Latin America? Or is it more when they get here, we are not equipped, not just at the border, but in the immigration courts whatsoever, to properly process the population either looking for asylum or a pathway to citizenship?
Yes, all of the above. So I'll start with the second part. You know, that's an issue that it's been going on for years, predates Biden, predates Trump. The immigration courts are overloaded, overwhelmed, and an asylum case takes more than a year to get its hearing before a judge. So in the meantime, people are here sort of in limbo, not really sure if this is really where they're going to stay or if they will eventually have to go back. So we have to figure out a way to deal with that so that the process is faster. But addressing the reasons why people come here is also very important. But one interesting thing that I'm seeing, especially here in Arizona, I visited some locations in Phoenix and Tucson where migrants are being received, is that although the conversation has been a lot around Central Americans, there are many people coming from other countries in Latin America, because no longer are we talking about a reason for people to migrate that's specific to the violence and upheaval, political instability of the Northern Triangle. We're now talking about other countries such as Brazil, my home country, Ecuador, Cuba, where many people are leaving, have been leaving, because the economic conditions that they were living under in these countries feel unsustainable to them. And, you know, we can fault ourselves here in the United States for creating this idea that is somewhat true, that this is the country of opportunity. This is the place where if you come and work hard, things happen for you. This is the place where even if you don't have a job or if you're hungry, there will be someone or somewhere you can go for help. And so people leave their countries with that idea in mind, that illusion in mind, that dream in mind. And obviously they come to our doorsteps, and they've been coming to our doorsteps these days, and they find that the reality is actually quite different.
Talk about the importance of language and just a simple word, alien, that the administration says we're not going there anymore. I know to some people they might say, you know what, Rich, this is just semantics, but it really isn't, is it?
No, it's not semantics. We'll start with immigrant, right? The word immigrant today, in a lot of people's minds, the first image that it evokes is of, these migrants that your images just showed, people desperate walking to the border. Well, there are many kinds of immigrants with many different experiences who come here, but this term has been hijacked. The idea of the use of the word alien, which is present in every single federal document to this date, is changing that, getting rid of that word and replacing it with non-citizens, which is what Biden's bill proposes, Biden's plans propose. It, to me, is very, very important, because the same way that immigrant has been hijacked to mean immediately unauthorized, undocumented, illegal immigrant, however you want to say it. I don't use the word illegal. The word alien is now used as a way of demeaning those who come from other places. So the idea of addressing the topic of immigration more holistically, including the words that we use to talk about immigrants and immigration. To me, it's a very, very positive and necessary step.
Finally, it's interesting to me how we've gone round and round on this topic, but if people even go back to the last Bush administration, towards the end of his term, he proposed immigration reform that I think at this point Democrats would sign up for, to say, you know, in as polarized a climate that is Washington, you know, we'll take that over the reality of just how divided it is up there that you can't get anything done, at least on a bipartisan level.
Well, you know, and this is, I think, the biggest issue is that we have we have bad memories. We don't remember very well what happened just, you know, 16 years ago, 12 years ago, 20 years ago. I became a citizen under Bush when Sensenbrenner had a very restrictive immigration bill. And at that time, I was concerned that something would change fundamentally that would prevent me, a green card holder, from becoming a U.S. citizen. Now, there was also the other side of it, which was a reaction to Sensenbrenner, the Bush bill that you mentioned, something that, as you said, Democrats today would be happy to sign and implement, because it seems so, it seemed to have so much of what we need today, yet all of it has been gotten lost, and you know, the strife, all the politics, all the partisanship that has defined so many of the big debates in this country, when truly what we need is to get to a point where we can agree on certain things that are very important. For example, a path to citizenship to dreamers. These kids were brought here at a very young age, who know no country other than this country as their country, and who are still stuck in this limbo. Some of them with DACA, the temporary permission to live and work in this country, others with no status.
Fernanda Santos, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
It was great to be with you.
Up next, his crewmates, their household names etched into American history. But his role, it was to stay in space and make their mission even possible. He did that and a whole lot more. We'll remember late astronaut Michael Collins next.
Is your AC busted, computer crashed, appliance broken? Then you need ARW, American Residential Warranty.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing, because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
Home appliance repairs and replacement can cause stress and cost you over $3,000 per year. But starting at less than $1 a day, ARW has home warranty plans that cover household appliances, systems, and electronics. Parts and labor included.
When I needed ARW, they were there. My oven actually took a dive in the middle of making a big dinner for family and friends, picked up the phone, called ARW, they repaired it, dinner saved, that easy.
My air conditioning broke on a Sunday. It was so hot. I called ARW and they came out and fixed it right away.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, even pools and spas, and so much more. All you have to do is call or go to getahomeplan.com. Plus, ARW's partner with Assurion to offer protection for all your new and used household electronics for just one low price.
I dropped my laptop and ARW replaced it with a brand new one, and all I paid was a small service fee.
All plans are fully customizable and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get a home security system valued at $1,250 free with any plan. And you can trust ARW to be there when you need it. Just call ARW and a licensed technician will be dispatched to your home. All covered repairs are guaranteed.
My refrigerator broke, and not only did ARW repair it fast, they even sent me a reimbursement check for all the food that went bad.
So come on, relax. Stop worrying about unexpected breakdowns and costly repairs. Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
Call 1-800-253-1237. Again, that's 1-800-253-1237, or log on to getahomeplan.com today.
Jacuzzi Bath Remodel, a name you know and trust, as the perfect solution for you. We call it the tub-to-shower conversion. We'll remove your old bathtub and the need to step over a dangerously high threshold, replacing it with the safety and luxury of a low-profile walk-in shower. And all this in about a day. As a special bonus to you, you'll get a special extra safety feature for free. So please call now.
Ever had the thought that you or someone else is the only person ever to do something? I haven't. Well, most people, we never really have truly unique experiences. But astronaut Michael Collins, he did. In this photo, taken during the moon landing mission in 1969, Michael Collins, he's the only human being, living or dead, not included in this iconic photo. It is of the Earth and the lunar lander with Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin inside. Collins, who orbited the moon as the others landed, is the only human in history not to be captured in this photograph. Collins, he passed away yesterday at the age of 91.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
It was 52 years ago, Apollo 11 landing on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin stepping foot on the moon's surface.
Mike Collins alone now in the command module.
Michael Collins staying back. He was the command module pilot.
We crew felt the weight of the world on our shoulders, and we wanted to do the best we possibly could.
He'd been asked over the years if he felt left out for not walking on the moon too.
As far as feeling left out or anything, not at all. I felt very much an equal partner with them.
Michael Collins' family revealing he has died at 90 years old after a battle with cancer, saying they are celebrating his life, his sharp wit, his quiet sense of purpose, his wise perspective, gained both from looking back at Earth from the vantage of space and gazing across calm waters from the deck of his fishing boat. Michael Collins, in his own words, on his view of Earth.
Beyond its size and its gloss, it's a fragile little tiny thing, beautiful, shiny though it may be, it's very fragile.
And we'll be right back.
Shake your legs, shake your abs, shake your butt, shake up your entire body to a slim, firm, and sexy new you with PowerFit Elite, the breakthrough multi-directional vibration platform that helps engage all your muscles from the moment you step on it. PowerFit uses multi-directional vibration to create muscle confusion and rapidly contract and relax your muscles to help you get fit and stay fit.
It's intense. You really feel your whole body working. You could be watching TV, but you do feel the workout.
It works you out where you don't feel like you're working out. It's actually a lot of fun.
Each traditional exercise that you do on PowerFit Elite can help sculpt, transform, and redefine your body from head to toe. The secret is the multi-directional vibration technology that causes muscle confusion and forces them to contract and counter-challenge you. Your muscles work hard so you can stabilize and maintain your balance. There are 3 standing positions: walking, jogging, and then running. Plus, there are 3 different program levels for workouts to choose from, so you can really customize your workout. PowerFit Elite can help improve your energy, burn calories, tone your body, define your abs, work your arms, strengthen your legs, boost your buttocks, and so much more. And for an even more intense workout, add resistance bands for bicep curls, forward lateral raises, and crisscross pulls. It's time to join the new fitness revolution that's shaking up the world. Call or go online now and you can try PowerFit Elite in your home for 30 days for only $14.95. But wait, order right now and we'll upgrade you to the deluxe set that includes the complete workout guide, the power bands, and the handy remote control. That's an over $80 value free. Try PowerFit Elite in your home for 30 days. And if it's not the best workout system you've used, just return it for a refund of your trial price. But hold everything, we'll also add our healthy eating plan to help you achieve your best possible results free. Try PowerFit Elite in your home for 30 days for only $14.95 and experience the power of extreme vibrations. Order
8 years ago, my daughter called to say she was expecting our first grandchild, but I never heard her say it. So a few years ago, Gina bought me a nano hearing aid. And now I love hearing Ryan call me Papa. And at only $297 for a full pair, they make a great gift for someone you know. Plus, call now and order 1 hearing aid, and Nano will give you a second absolutely free.
Call 1-800-238-2857.
Well, that's going to do it for tonight's program. But tomorrow evening, we've got an interesting show on tap, including somebody who can tell us what's going on behind closed doors within Republican ranks. There was a food fight in Orlando where leadership couldn't agree on what role Donald Trump ought to have in the Republican Party going forward. That and much more tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on RFL. Hope to see you Friday.
Hi, I'm Lori Grenier, an inventor and entrepreneur, but many of you know me as a shark on Shark Tank. I discovered a convenient purse that allows you to use your phone right through it. And I loved it so much, I had